This is a conversation I really want to have with you. It's a podcast I've been dying to make. So I'm probably going to go overboard in the information and the insights that I give you. If you get bored, feel free to turn me off. But really listen, because this is really good stuff. So I don't know if you listened a few weeks ago. We released an episode with Dr. Jeff Spencer, and Dr. Jeff talked about um, receivership. He talked about the hustle and grind. He talked about how that's kind of a lie, and the people that he coaches, which is like Bono and Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson, Tiger Woods, Lance Armstrong. These people who are uber successful have really taken on his philosophy of receivership, of slowing down, of letting intuition guide you more than the hustle and grind. So I just got back with spending the weekend with him, and it was amazing. I had such a good time, and I learned. It's really fun to be beginner's mind learning from the master. So let's talk about this receivership, because I've been talking about this for years and years and years, and it changed my life. So let's start with Only Tens. If you've read Only Tens, you might have gotten this out of the book, but I don't even talk about it that much when I talk about the book and when I talk about the Only Tens methodology. The Only Tens methodology is basically we only do tens. We don't do eights, nines. We don't do sixes and fives. We only do tens. We clear the decks of only the hell yes. We get rid of the hell maybes and the hell no's, right? We get rid of the 9.9s, which are the kind of yeses, they really want to do yeses. And what happened to me was when I started keeping my word to myself, when I cleared the decks, intuition showed up. Just kind of like call this person, work on this, start a podcast. All these things started happening out of what Jeff calls receivership, and what I called, and what my former coach Rich Litvin told me is slowing down to speed up. Is I slowed down, I stopped the grind and the hustle and the spinning my wheels, and I let this intuition show up. So then I learned something new. I learned hoʻoponopono, and hoʻoponopono is an ancient Hawaiian conflict resolution protocol. It's it's it was used hundreds and thousands of years ago, and it was updated recently, kind of to help you not only resolve conflict, but to help you resolve your conflict with what's happening in the world, what's happening to you. And what they talk about is getting to a zero state in Ho'oponopono. So I went and got certified in this because it really helped free me up. And it's taking 100% responsibility for creating whatever happened in your life, or creating the way you see what happened in your life, so that you could get to a state of zero. And by the way, I'll put in the show notes a link to the episode on Ho'oponopono. Put in a link to the episode of Dr. Jeff Spencer. And I will also, you can go to my website and get a free copy of Only Tens. So all of this is available to you. So back to Ho'oponopono. When you do the practice of Ho'oponopono, of taking responsibility for your part, forgiving the other people for their perceived part, and getting yourself to neutral. Dr. Hugh Len, who is the one who really brought this to the world, the famous story about him and Ho'oponopono is that he was put in charge of a mental hospital for the criminally insane. This person, they've had director after director quit because this particular facility was just so unmanageable. The people that worked there, the patients or inmates as they were, was just ridiculous. And person after person quit. And Dr. Hugh Len took over, and he performed Ho'oponopono on every single patient. And the reason he did that is because the patient came into his life, so he took responsibility for them. And when he cleaned, as he called it, when he got himself to neutral, when he got himself to zero on each patient, then he knew what to do with them. The miracle of the story, and I can send you the links to that story also. I think I might have actually put that in the show notes for the Ho'oponopono episode. Is that after a while, the people working there started to change, started to paint decrepit old walls and fix things, and the turnover for the people who work there stopped. And then all of a sudden, most of the patients started getting better. Then all of the patients started getting better. So they got so much better that they were either released because they were healed, or they were released to other less severe facilities. And this is documented. It's crazy and it's amazing. Uh, so Dr. Hugh Len would get to zero state. Now, here's the interesting thing that people miss. He gets to zero state, and then he says, when you get to zero state, you hear, you feel, you get a nudge, you get an intuition of what to do about it, what to say, what action to take, how to look at something. And he said, when you do ho'oponopono, you must listen to that voice. You must listen to that nudge. So that goes back to my experience with only tens. Now let's go to Dr. Jeff Spencer and his receivership. So when he's talking about receivership, he puts up a chart of 8 boxes. It's in the shape of 9 boxes, 3 by 3, and then the ninth box is kind of left out. See if you can visualize this. There's 8 boxes, and then the ninth box is off to the side a little bit. And he calls this full potential play. And I didn't quite understand full potential play in the conversation in the podcast until I actually saw him explain this. That receivership, you cannot be at full potential until you add this intuition, until you add this exponential component to your arsenal. So you have your skills, you have your drives, you have your personality traits, you have your hard work, you have all those things. But then that missing box is the exponential success. It's the full potential play, as he calls it. So now I got ho'oponopono, I got only tens, I got this, and I putting them all together. It's basically slowing down so that you can listen. It's when you have something at work that's driving you crazy, go for a walk. Go to the gym, right? How many times have you had an idea in the shower? That happened. It doesn't have to be the shower. There's nothing wrong for you to take a break from something, to get yourself into a state of receivership, to get yourself into a state of relaxation so that something else can come along. And most problems, a solution will present itself once you'll kind of let go of it and let that happen. So I'm hoping this is useful to you. For me, this was really useful because as I pivot to the rising leader, as the books are just about to come out, and we've been working diligently on that. We rebranded the podcast. I'm giving a keynote that I'm working on. I'm really putting all my resources, all my time and effort into launching the rising leader. But I was doing so from a place of hustle and grind. I was pushing the rock up the hill. Like, I've got to do this, and I've got to add personality traits that I don't really like to myself. And that's the hustle and grind thing. And I was starting to not enjoy this. I was starting to not like it. I was, this whole rising leader thing came out of inspiration. I didn't think of this. This came to me, it picked me, and I answered the call, and I was having so much fun, and it was writing itself, and everything was happening. And then all of a sudden it became a grind. And I realized that I had left receivership. I had left my own way of doing things so that it was no longer fun. So spending some time away at 2 different masterminds and really looking at how I was going about my business shifted everything. I came home, I'm on fire about this again. I'm so excited. Can't wait to give my keynote in Nashville to launch this whole thing. It's really exciting. So take a moment, take a deep breath, see if you can get yourself to some semblance of neutral. If you have to exercise, if you have to journal, if you have to meditate, if you have to go for a walk, if you have to go laugh with your kids, do something so that that exponential, that full potential play, as Jeff calls it, comes in. Hope this helps. For me, it opened up all of life. And whether you call it receivership, whether you call it zero state, whether you call it slowing down to the speed of light, I don't care. Let something else help you. Why you don't have to push the boulder up the hill by yourself. I love you a ton. Have a great rest of the day.